Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Oh, blocked! Field goal attempt is blocked! Scooped up and will be taken all the way for a Jets touchdown! Joshua Carty has it blocked again! This time Jordan Davis! The big man looks for the icing on one big cake! Eagles hang on! As Daniel Wheeler will hold, the kick is blocked! It is blocked! The Browns get the swat and turn the Packers away!
So here's an obvious question, and I don't have the answer. All of a sudden, did these special teams coaches become smarter? Or is this aberration and the speed and the athleticism and the angles of some of the kicks that were blocked were absolutely spectacular? And Jordan Davis, he lost a bunch of weight, and they say he's 330. Okay? I bet he hasn't been 330, Jimmy, since about third grade. I don't think he's 330. He obviously, his belly is much better, and it's in a contract year. How does a human being that size, whatever he is, I would bet you, more than a couple six-packs, he's at least 345, 350. He's a huge man. Anyway, he ran 18 miles an hour with the ball. That is crazy. Now, what seemed pretty obvious is, and they've been doing this for years, they're doing a really good job of seeing the tendencies of the kickers and going after that particular spot. That's what happened. But, Jimmy, that's not new. It's just not new. And maybe it's an aberration because I can't remember the last time, maybe you know off the top of your head, 3 kicks that were blocked in such a short time period in 3 different games, and they were all pivotal. This wasn't like first quarter blocks. This is like end of game stuff. This changed things. There might be somebody down the road who doesn't make the playoffs because of this, or maybe loses home field advantage. This was huge. Jimmy, have you ever seen anything like this?
No, never. And that was my same thought was there something that coordinator saw that like the field goal teams were doing that they could figure this out? Because maybe it is just a blip on the radar, but that seems weird to have that many all at once, basically. It's even if you just have 4 in a week, that's a lot. But for them to all happen right at the end of the game made it even more crucial. But
I think over the next 5 or 6 weeks, we'll figure out if it's a trend.
Yeah.
And they're emphasizing it for it not to happen. But the way it changed games, I mean, that was crazy. A lot of people probably won and lost money in those things.
Oh, yeah.
Very end. All good. All good. I just found it very interesting. Efforting Rick Henry will be joining us in just a couple of minutes. We'll pop him in as soon as he comes in. I want to start again talking about the Pope and the headlock. And I'm going to ask Macy about this. It's not why I'm having Macy on, but I'm going to ask him about it. I said it at the time. Jimmy, let me ask you a question. If Pat Kelsey was 6'10", and Mark Pope is 6'10", the Kentucky-Louisville game, do you think Kelsey would have ended up in a headlock?
Maybe.
Oh, that's an interesting answer.
Be a good that would be a good battle to see.
I wasn't expecting that answer.
Put him at center court.
Oh, that would sell tickets. So I said at the time, as both coaches downplayed it, which was a smart thing to do, if you're Pat Kelsey, you don't forget it. You just don't. And I don't give a crap if it was Mark Pope. I don't care if Rick Pitino was 6'10". I don't care if Mike Krzyzewski was 6'10". I don't care. You just don't forget it. You're a competitor. You don't forget it. And so whatever happened or didn't happen on September 2nd, outside of Tate Kinney's house, which it's interesting right now, neither school is going to get him if the internet reports are correct, and I don't follow it that way. I'm just regurgitating stuff from people who know tons more than I do, and they're almost always right. Okay? It's good enough for me. And that's not the point. But the point is some words, I believe, happened between Pope and Kelsey. I mean, that's just a guess. I can't swear to it. I don't have sources. I'm not going to spend my life trying to figure it out because I think it's a wasted time and it's not what I do. But if you believe something was said, even let's say it was light, even if it was just short, there's no way their relationship ever becomes hunky-dory. Unless, and I won't be around, when they both retire, they do a talk show like Joe B. and Denny. Like Sonny Smith and Wimp. Auburn and Alabama as well. And could that happen? Sure. Will it? I don't know. I don't have any idea. They did it. They would do it because they want to be on the radio, not because they need money. And that's not why Denny and, and Joe B did it. And that's not why Sonny Smith and Wimp did it. Just not why they did it. They did it because of fun, and they became really dear friends, and it was all good. But there is something extra now back on the rivalry. And I'm not hyping. It's as obvious as the nose on my face. When you go through something like that, and I was fascinated how it didn't become a bigger story. By the way, that's a credit to both coaches. It really is. And I can't wait for the next press conference for Pat Kelsey. And I can't wait for the next press conference with Mark Pope. And you all want to hear what Pope is going to say, all these beautiful things about his team, which I'm so excited, just like you are, to see how they play. And they're so deep, it's unbelievable. But I'm really, really, really curious to see how he decides to what? How he decides to downplay it. I'm going to bet they both laugh it off. I'm going to absolutely bet we're going to both laugh him off. Okay, Rick is not in, is he?
Look, he just got in.
Okay, good. I was going to
Just
say,
a second.
take a break with our system making phone calls, so he will be in a minute, which is a beautiful thing. You know, it is interesting how the South Carolina-Kentucky relationship has changed. There was a really strong time period early on in Stoops where Kentucky dominated. And now South Carolina recently owns Kentucky. That's just the way it is. It's just numbers. And here's a man who understands the Gamecocks as much as anybody that I can think of. Rick Henry, longtime sportscaster of the year in South Carolina. How many years? Hello, old friend. How many years have you been covering South Carolina?
Hey, Alan, man, always good to see you.
Back at you, brother.
Yeah, this is my 37th year at WIS and my 44th year in TV here in South Carolina.
Wow. Wow. So you've become what I became.
Yeah.
Almost a dinosaur, but not quite.
No, hey, you're what I want to become when I grow up.
Okay. And you know what? Do I think you can do a sports talk show for as long as you want to when you retire from TV? Absolutely. And you have fun with it. You know, the deadline is your big mouth being on air on time. Okay, gee, with all the deadlines we both did in TV, that's a piece of cake. And two, you know everybody who's breathing in South Carolina, right?
Oh, it was an awful weekend. The season hasn't gotten off to the start that everyone was expecting.
So this happens with all teams. Let's just take away South Carolina for a second. You know, polls could be great, and polls could be a pain in the butt. You know, for example, I think, and I'm purposely saying Alabama, I think they were rated higher than they really deserve. I'm not ripping them for being bad, but they're not Nick Saban's Alabama, as everybody knows. But sometimes teams get rated based upon reputation. There was, for good reason, a lot of hype around South Carolina because South Carolina's gotten a lot better. But hype sometimes is amplified to the point that's not fair. And then if you don't meet those expectations, which aren't fair, people think you stink. Now, I'm not saying South Carolina stinks, but was it unfair to rank them 10th and 11th in preseason without the history of that happening, even though I love your young quarterback?
Good point there, Alan. You know, they closed out the regular season winning 6 straight, a big win over Clemson, and they were right there on the verge of making the college football playoff. You've got a very talented quarterback returning in Lenore Sellers. He's getting a lot of Heisman hype. Maybe he's going to be the first quarterback off the board, maybe even the #1 overall pick. So the momentum was there. But then sometimes South Carolina fans, they forget to remember that South Carolina has been playing football since 1892. You know how many conference championships they have, Alan?
Not 5.
1.
Okay.
1969 in the ACC. So I tell folks, they always ask me, hey, how you think the Gamecocks are going to do? I said, you know what? If everything comes together and they don't have any injuries, they don't have any hiccups, yeah, they could be right there with 9 wins, 10 wins for only the 5th time in program history if they would get to 10 wins. And, you know, maybe make the college football playoff. But I always tell them it's the SEC. There are no pushovers in the SEC. And there, you know, in order to reach those goals, they needed to go 5-0 or 4-1 in the first 5. And I thought Missouri would be the one that would get them. Hey, but always realizing it's not the same old Vanderbilt. Kentucky is going to play them tough. They're no pushovers. And now they really need to beat Kentucky Saturday, or else they're going to get off to a 3-2 start with Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Clemson all to come.
So basically, if South Carolina doesn't win, they're going to be looking at probably not making a bowl game. Is that fair or not fair?
It is a concern. If they come out of the first 5 3-2, then they're going to be scrapping and fighting to get the 6 wins, 7 wins, and it's going to be like, wow, South Carolina has seen a lot of years like this.
You know, I have this thing about Kentucky fans, and I say for any fan. People say, well, they have a tough schedule. Well, it's a Southeastern Conference, okay? Everybody has a tough schedule. South Carolina has a tough schedule. Vandy has a tough schedule. Kentucky has a tough schedule. Tennessee has a tough schedule. So I feel like saying to Kentucky fans, shut up. I don't want to hear about the schedule. Go play in the ACC.
Yeah.
Go play in the Pac-10, wherever that was. I mean, come on. So I don't want to hear it. I mean, this is not a shot against any kind of fan from anywhere. Guess what? Mississippi State has a tough schedule. They do. I promise you, it's not easy.
Yeah, you know, that's what I tell folks. That's part of the attraction of being in the SEC. It's so tough. And it's like they say about New York. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. If you can make it in the SEC, you can make it anywhere. But, hey, every year it's going to be a tough schedule. You got to put on your big boy pants and go play.
So if Beamer then wins 5 or 6 in a row, they're going to anoint him as king, as everything is short term. If he loses 5 games in a row, will there be fans? And by the way, I'm not pointing at South Carolina fans. Rick, you know me, and I have a purpose for saying this because I'm going to slide over to Clemson, but you already figured I was going to do that. Are there going to be some South Carolina fans say, oh, man, we shouldn't have hired him. He just lost 5 in a row, blah, 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 blah. In other words, fans turn quickly. If they would lose 5 in a row, would they turn quickly or no?
There'd be a bunch of fans that would turn. I mean, there's some fans now who are turning.
Really?
Because, oh, yeah, you said, oh, you go on the message boards, never should have hired him. You know, he never was a head coach. Oh, we're terrible. We stink. Because they played 4 games. And Allen, in all 4 of those games, they have not played like a nationally ranked team or one that came into the season with a lot of momentum. So, yeah, they are, you know, it's the microwave society we live in. And I'm going, you got to be kidding because, hey, he is ahead of the win schedule that Steve Spurrier had here at USC. It took Steve Spurrier 6 years to really get it going in that 09 season. And then in his 7th year is when he won the East. And then the next year, he put together 3 consecutive 11-2 seasons. But yeah, there are some people who are willing to, you know, say bye-bye to Shane. And then there are others who are saying, come on, you know, he's been doing a great job. And he has a knack of getting his team to play better as the season goes along. He's had some really good Novembers. And he's beat Clemson 2 of the past 3 years.
Big-time South Carolina sportscaster, old friend. We've been friends since neither one of us had gray in our mustaches or white either, if I must say so. Rick Andrew, kind enough to join us. You know, I'm funny about a lot of coaches. So with Kentucky, when the Kentucky Duke thing with Krzyzewski and stuff like that, I went on TV and said, look, if Krzyzewski ended up being the Kentucky coach, those who don't like him, you'd have loved him. Matter of fact, Sam Newton actually asked him if he wanted to become the coach. It's a true story. When they hired Rick Pitino, they're dear friends. He knew he was going to say no, but you got to ask. Nothing wrong with asking. As you know, there's a lot of coaches get asked and it never gets reported. That's fine. But had Krzyzewski been at Kentucky, all those people that couldn't stand him, they would have loved him. Come on, it's just the way of the world.
Right.
When I look at coaches and what they do, okay, I'm going to Clemson. I don't blame Dabo Swinney and the dumbass things he's been saying. I mean, it's amazing. The guy's done thousands of interviews, and he doesn't know how to handle himself. I blame the administration. Why do you give any Homo sapien a 10-year, $115 million contract? I have, and I said this about John Calipari many times on the air. They gave him that contract because they were afraid he's going to UCLA. You want to go to UCLA? Go to UCLA. I mean, you know, you got to be fair with the guy. But after 3 or 4 years, if you have that much money left, lifetime contracts are stupid. Almost none of them work out. These presidents and board of trustees suck up to these coaches when they're doing real well. And Dabo Sweeney, it's unbelievable how good he did. But to think that he wouldn't have a hiccup in the pressure, he can say what he wants. You can't buy him out of $60 million. I know what they did, with the former Florida State coach in that little state of Texas. I get that. You get that. You understand. But is it that bad for Dabo? And is he making it worse? And why doesn't he learn just to shut up and coach his team and not to say, I have a long memory? You're not going to pay the guy $60 million, are you?
Dabo, he has some unbelievable press conferences, but last week he had a doozy. There was a lot of heat and discontent after they lost to Georgia Tech, so they get off to a 1-2 start. Of course, they lost to LSU. There's no shame in that. LSU, one of the top teams in the SEC. Then they struggled against Troy, had to rally in the second half to beat them. Then they go down to Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech just whooped them. And so Dabo is going off on the tangent about, hey, why are we getting so much hate? Why are people criticizing us? Look at what I've done, and he rattles off the national championships, the ACC championships, and then he capped off it by saying, and look at all these other teams that haven't won nothing. And that's the one quote that really sticks out in my mind. But he also said, hey, they want to run me off, fine. I'll go down to the beach. I'm young. I can still work. I'll do something. And you wish somebody would just at that time, go into the podium and whisper into his ear, Dabo, shut up, end it. That's enough. So luckily for the Tigers, they've got this week off to see if they can straighten out some of their problems, but he'll still be talking. I know he'll have a media availability or two after practice. So we'll see what he comes up with next.
Rick, you've looked at Rick Henry, WIS, big-time, long-time sportscaster in South Carolina. You've looked at and analyzed the psychology between what coaches do to players sometimes to help and sometimes to really hurt. I wonder, I'm not close to Dabo Sweeney. I just, read these quotes from the outside. I don't read their reports every day. I'm not going to. But, this happens. It's a national thing. You kind of jump on. And I know how many championships he's won in the ACC and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not a Clemson expert. From the outside looking in, do you think he's creating more pressure on his kids by his big mouth?
Yeah, of course, especially now in the day of the NIL, also this past week, Cade Klubnik, the quarterback, who before the season, he was being touted as a potential Heisman Trophy candidate. And now he hasn't played well. He hasn't played well at all. And folks were asking him in the feeling more pressure. And so he had to respond to that. And after the LSU game, the season opener that they lost, Dabo was very open about saying, hey, we need our best players to play. And he called out Cade. And I went, okay, sending a message to Cade. But when you create all this attention just by what you say in the press conference, the whole team is affected by that because they've got their phones out. Hey, look what coach said today. Oh, look what other people are saying about us. And then when you walk into the stadium, I have to tell you, Alan, the boos were raining down on the Tigers, as they were in the process of going 0-2 in the ACC. And Syracuse, one thing that I find that should be troubling for Dabo is that they're not the most physical team on the field. It looks like they're not the most talented team on the field. And when you get pushed around by Syracuse in your place, hey, the alarms should be going off nonstop.
Interesting. You saw Syracuse, I'm sure you've already seen it, was fined $25,000 and reprimanded by the ACC for faking injuries. I was wondering when that was going to happen.
Oh yeah, well, we've seen it here in the SEC with Ole Miss.
Yeah, they're really good at it.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I saw at one time there were like 2 Syracuse guys on the field, and you know what? I was going to give them the benefit of the doubt because it's September in South Carolina. We've got 90-degree days still. And so they could have been cramping up.
Could
but
have been.
then some other times, maybe not.
Okay, let me throw two things at you. Kentucky sucks under Stoops off a bye. They're only 6-10. And Stoops has been talking to different coaches to see if he needs to change something or whatever. So they've done this past week leading up to game week, what he calls good on good. You've heard that expression a million times. The ones versus the ones. They're being physical, but they're not taking kids to the ground. He said it was a good week of practice. That's fine. All that stuff. So there's one. He's trying to change it. And two, I was shocked that South Carolina had only, tell me if I'm wrong, if I didn't have my bifocals on, my trifocals on, but South Carolina had only 9 yards rushing against Missouri. So is that an aberration? Is Stoops being terrible in a bye week an aberration? Or do we look at stats and we jump on them, and sometimes from one game to the next is different, beats the heck out of me? You tell me.
Yeah, Alan, you must not have had your glasses on because South Carolina didn't have 9 yards rushing. They had -9 yards rushing.
Are you serious?
-9
Oh.
yards rushing, and they gave up almost 300 yards to Missouri. South Carolina committed 98 yards worth of penalties. They gave up 5 sacks. But, Alan, they had a lead in the fourth quarter.
How do you have a lead in the fourth quarter with numbers like that?
Right. But then they got outscored in the fourth quarter 11-0. So you mentioned, okay, a bye week. Okay, this will be a good time for South Carolina to have one. Unfortunately, they don't. But here's what's going to happen in practice this week. In addition to concentrating, coming up with a game plan for Kentucky, you've got so many issues of your own that you've got to correct. Stuff that you should have had worked out during the spring, during preseason camp. But, they have some issues with the to give you an example, Saturday, Sellers completes a 40-plus yard pass. They've got 1st and goal at the 2. Then they're going to try a play-action pass that's developing slowly. He gets sacked. I think maybe a penalty was in there as well, and they have to settle for a field goal. They spend too much time going backwards. So, and if they don't get these things worked out, Alan, in the SEC, it's going to be a long, long season.
So Missouri's 25-5 over the last 30 games, 4th best record in college football. Do you see Florida coming in and offer him $100 million to leave Missouri?
Ooh. Well, hey, you got to go after some folks who know how to get it done in the SEC, right? But, you throw enough money at folks, but how attractive is that Florida job right now?
Well, there's a good and bad. The recruiting foundation, as you know, is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I don't know this, but I wouldn't be surprised if Missouri has better facilities. I remember when Steve Spurrier was there, you remember those stories too. He never really pushed for facilities. He would coach the team and go play golf and didn't worry about it, and they kept on winning and that kind of stuff. Florida's facilities, they ain't Alabama, and I bet it's not Kentucky, believe it or not. And South Carolina's, I'm told, are very good, although, I haven't been to the South Carolina game in forever. You can tell me better than that. So maybe it's not that attractive. Plus, if you're at Missouri, you're the king.
Right.
If you go to Florida, you have the ghost of Steve Superior around you. Is Missouri a better job for Drinkwitz right now than Florida?
I would think so, because you mentioned the recruiting base you have there in Florida, but you're competing with Florida State, Miami, and look at what the other schools in Florida are doing. Central Florida, South Florida. You have to deal with all of that too. And like you said, a school that has won 3 national championships. They produced several Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks. There's a lot of pressure when you go there. And as you said, like Missouri, he's king of the hill.
Would you say Beamer's an edgy kind of guy? And let me finish this and please respond. I've said this about Kentucky fans. If Beamer came here and he turned the program around, the people who don't like him would like him. And they would say, hey, he's our guy, the edginess. We don't care. He's winning 9 games a year. That's just great. So There was, I think, something between he and Stoops, and my guess is they can have a beer and talk and all that kind of stuff. And coaches often get over that stuff quicker than fans do. Not all the time, but most of the time. As long as he wins, do South Carolina fans think he's edgy, or they don't think that way? It's just the opponent. I look at the edgy going, he's taken over a program that hasn't won 10 games that many times. You got to be edgy. You got to push the envelope. You got to upset some people. You got to be a little abrasive. You got to, for your recruits and stuff like that, you got to get those kids here to have that edge. You need to do it. I always laughed at it. I'm going, but good for him if it works.
Yeah, some people go, oh, man, he looks out of control on the sideline. But you're right. The kids love it. The recruits out there, they love it. And if Shane could consistently win like 8 to 10 games, he deserves a statue. People complain about the way Spurrier left, and I say, hey, wait a minute. Until somebody else comes in here and puts together 3 straight 11-win seasons, you shouldn't say a negative word about Steve Spurrier. Because Spurrier...
Do they talk negative about Spurrier? Seriously?
Oh, yeah. They're disappointed because he stepped down in the middle of the 2015 season. And I'm going, these people haven't been listening to him, because he would say repeatedly, hey, if I'm not getting it done, I'll just step aside and let somebody else have a shot. And that's what he did. He knew that the team wasn't responding to him. And so he decided to step away. And Sean Elliott, one of his assistant coaches, took over as interim. He said, he gave Sean a chance to see what he could do, give him that experience. But yeah, some people go, and then others, that they have that love for Spurrier because he took the program to heights it had never been, and it hasn't been able to get to since he left.
Maybe I'm nuts, but I respected what he did because he knows how he's affecting people. And if he really thinks that maybe he's lost the edge, or you hit that certain age, some coaches can coach when they're 70 and have that edge. Some don't. It's not positive or negative to anybody. Or maybe you don't really love to do it as much as you did before for that extra time to have that edge. I don't know. We all age. I'm sure you look at a sportscast differently than you did 30 years ago. I mean, it's human nature, right? I mean, come on. You could put a sportscast together in your sleep, literally in your sleep.
You're right. I can. And sometimes
I thought you were going to say you have done
it. Hey, because when I first came to WIS in 1988, we had 2.
Lost you for a second.
Now I have 4.
Yeah, we just lost you for about a set and samp. When you went to WIS, you started saying people, I think.
Yeah, we had 2 newscasts. Now I have 4 sportscasts daily. Plus, we do a digital show every afternoon that we record in between 2 and 2:30. So that's like 5 shows now.
No wonder why your hair's white and your receding line is going back. God bless you, Rick. You don't need anything from me. Anything in the world I can do for you, you know it. When I was in TV, you helped us tremendously. We always attempted to reciprocate tremendously. You've been a dear friend forever. I appreciate it. And this show for me is about rekindling relationships. Because doing the show, I don't know if I'd run into you, and there's so many people like that. So to me, it's a blessing getting to chat with you, and we happen to chat sports, is what we did anyway.
Yeah, you've always been a good friend. You've always helped me out. We're like family. So
yeah,
always glad to see you and talk to you, Alan.
Hey, bless you. You know what? Shame on me. I should have sent a text to Dee. I'll send, because you and Dee are dear friends.
Oh, yeah.
Dee worked at the station forever, and I'll tell her you were on so she can watch the podcast or whatever, because she thinks the world of you. I don't know why I didn't think of Dee. Dee, I'm sorry. So she listens to the podcast. She will hear. Hey, God bless you. Stay healthy. I hope WIS, after 40 years, realizes how lucky they are to have you.
Yeah, well, we'll see how much longer I'll be around.
Keep on fooling him, brother.
All right.
Bless you, Rick. Thank you so much. You do a hell of a job.
All right. Well, and take care. Best of luck to you and your family.
Thank you. I hope we can talk during basketball.
Okay. Sounds good.
See you, man.
All right.
Bye-bye. He's great. He's just a joy. I think I've told this story before. 2 things in particular. I'm doing a live shot from South Carolina basketball game. This is when Eddie Fogler was there, and they were good. Okay. He not only did he get us a truck, which we've gotten for him, Jimmy, they had to run cord from the top of the arena all the way to the floor for the live shot for me. And when they did that, I'm going, are you crazy? That's unbelievable. I think it was the following year. It was 11 o'clock news. We are short staffed like every station. And I went to my boss. He said no. And I told him what they did for us. He said yes. Jimmy, we had to get 2 trucks for him. 2 trucks for him to do his live shot. I got the overtime approved because how much we have helped each other through the years. And I just went and told my boss, hey, this guy's done this, and this for us. And he just went, okay. You know, so when you have people that are friends like that, and he never said no to me, and I never said no to him. And he's, you know, I should look it up. Jimmy, I don't know how many times he's been sportscaster of the year W in the state of South Carolina. And I'm sure, you know, I've never asked him this, but I'm sure back in the day he had tons of opportunities to go all kinds of places. I mean, seriously, he's literally that special. Whew. Hey, don't forget, this is your season, your shot. It's the NFL, right? The 3 block kicks in a short time period yesterday. How did that change you? Hopefully you won on that. Hopefully there's some Browns fans that were crying that all of a sudden their beer tasted really good. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown score to anytime TV props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loading with opportunity. This is crazy. I'm glad I'm not doing the Bengals radio network. I watched the clips. I don't know if I've ever seen the Bengals play a worse game. It's the worst defeat in history. And I thought Browning would be much better. They got blown out so bad yesterday, it's not even funny, 48-10. And Denver is now favored, according to DraftKings, by 7.5. And Jimmy, I don't know about you. I know right, 1 week to the next, that doesn't seem like enough points. Not giving you advice of what to bet. But wow. And by the way, DraftKings has South Carolina 6.5 point favorite over Kentucky. I can't believe how bad the Bengals were. It changes sometimes from week to week. Hey, not giving advice. And if you bet $5, you get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code LEXSports. That's code LEXSports to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 18 plus. Kentucky only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer. Coming up, the great one, Kyle Macy. Thank you, Rick Henry. What a joy catching up with Rick at 1:30. JT Riddle, local kid who retired from baseball this past week, had a hell of a career. Just want to go down memory lane. I think it'll be fun. And James Blackman later this week. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Down, set, hack, corn dogs coming in for the blitz.
Rick, what are you doing?
Brent, I'm practicing my snack plays for the next football game.
Well, in that case, Uncle Rick, stop by any Clark Stop Shop and pick up assorted Reese's king-size candy bars, 2 for $4, and Sour Patch or Swedish Fish peg bags, 2 for $6.
Don't get sidelined without your supplies this football season. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quantrell family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1300 and 92.5. WLXG Lexington and LM Communications Broadcasting Station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
Welcome back.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal! 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quantrell family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Down, set, hack. Corn dogs coming in for the blitz.
Rick, what are you doing?
Brent, I'm practicing my snack plays for the next football game.
Well, in that case, Uncle Rick, stop by any Clutch Stop and Shop and pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Uncle Ray's potato chips, 8-ounce bags, 2 for $6.
Don't get sidelined without your supplies this football season. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
I'm going to guess, Jimmy, you can hear me loud and clear?
Yes, I can.
It's a beautiful thing. We got knocked off through the beauty of internet, and so we're going to take a short break. Kyle got knocked off, he thinks, because they're working on the internet of a neighbor. So we're going to take a very quick break, and then Jimmy's going to call Kyle. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313, 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrill Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties.
Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance
Well, in that case, Uncle Rick, stop by any Clark's Stop and Shop and pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Uncle Ray's potato chips, 8-ounce bags, 2 for $6.
Don't get sidelined without your supplies this football season. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Alan Cutler, 93.5 FM. Technology is a beautiful thing. I think we're hooking up now with the one, the only Kyle Macy via phone. Mace, how are you?
Kyle actually just dropped out again. He
Seriously?
was in? Yep, he sure did.
Maybe it's just not meant to be. Kyle was telling me that apparently they're working on his neighbor's internet. So got bounced. These things happen. They just do. They just do. All right. Let's throw down a couple of things. One, can you imagine right now, Jimmy, if Hugh Freeze was the Kentucky coach and Kentucky was Auburn, and what happened to Auburn happened to Kentucky? There would be a mutiny that's unbelievable. Look, I know a lot of people don't like Hugh Freeze. Whether you like him or don't like him, I don't really care. But what happens is Kyle is now back. Mace, I've never been so happy to see your pretty face. How are you, dude?
I can't see you, but good to hear your voice.
Okay. How about
I got you. Now I got you.
I'm gonna have to holding the phone.
So I think what's happening is they're working on the internet on the neighbor's house, and we share the pole in the backyard, and something happened there. So sorry about that.
Oh, that's all good, dude. Hey, it's technology. The old share the pole routine. All right, because of that, I'm going to ask you a deep, probing question. Hopefully you don't hang up the phone on me right now because I'm going to get very personal with you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, if I give you 100 free throw attempts at Rupp Arena right now, and we're just standing around, okay, whether 24,000 there is not, can you still make about 90?
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
The more I shoot, the more I'll do. I'll get warmed up, and I still go to a gym every so often and shoot some, and I always try to shoot 10, if not more, before I leave. And I don't leave unless I make at least 9. I like to make all 10 before I leave. So
you know what that reminds me of? I don't know if you ever met Gary Player when he came to town. He used to come early on when the senior tour happened. He didn't care about the money in the tour. He loved Lexington because he owned horses and the horse farms and that kind of stuff. And he had this routine. I've never heard of another athlete who did this. And he said, sometimes, I'm telling you the kicker before what he did, sometimes he said, I was late. before the event starts, the night before, there's always banquets and stuff like that, and with sponsors, and you go to and whatever. And so he would never leave the golf course until he would chip in something from the sand, whether it was on the course or, let's say, on a putting green. Wouldn't do it.
I miss all the events, and if that's the case.
He was known as the best in the world.
Yeah.
But let's put it this way: he couldn't shoot free throws with you. Let's be real now. Okay. So I said, "Well, wait a second. Was it ever dark before you did it?" He goes, "Yup." I said, "Did you ever have to do it by flashlight?" He goes, "Yup." He said, "And there were times I'd have my caddy go get my clothing because I would not leave until I made it." He said, "But I always did. Sometimes I was a little late, and I would tell the story, and they would understand." Best chipper in the world. And the other one I want to throw you at, Odie Smith, who I know you know really well.
Sure.
I'm doing a live shot years ago, and Odie at the time was in his 70s. And when he came, he would show up early, and respectfully so, this doesn't surprise you, he'd be, dressed in a suit and that kind of stuff, but he'd take his shoes off. He wouldn't walk on the court with shoes. And in between some live shots, he would shoot free throws. Gosh darn it, he wouldn't miss. Yeah. And I would say to him, could you make 90%? He goes, yeah, as long as I'm standing still, I can still make it, and I still love to shoot. I mean, if you love to shoot, you love to shoot.
Right. It's like they say, it's kind of like riding a bike, once you get it. The only thing I have noticed is once I get too far past the free throw line, that range, that front rim gets a lot bigger. I kind of hit that front rim every so often, so I got to make sure I really do an extra little bend to get that extra push to get it up there. But yeah, so that comes with age, I guess.
Oh, that sounds normal. By the way, if anybody who's on YouTube, we don't push YouTube much, but I love your background. You've got your Kentucky jersey to number 4 right behind you, what looks like in your office with books behind and stuff like that. It's a beautiful thing. Before I forget, you're doing now a really nice book tour. You're going all over the state. Give yourself a nice plug for your book and your book tour, and then I want to ask you a couple basketball questions.
Yeah, so going around the state this month, pretty much from Wednesday on, I'll be out of Lexington, traveling around, just promoting the book. The book's kind of an offshoot from the TV show From the Rafters Were Up, where we interviewed all former players that have their jerseys retired and hanging from the rafters. And so John and I are not real happy the way the book has been sent out. The people really don't know that much about it. They haven't heard about it. So I'm just going around the state trying to promote it and get it into people's hands. It's a great book. It's a coffee table style book. A lot of pictures, a lot of stories from the players themselves, not someone third party talking about an event that happened in that player's career. So it's the actual player recalling, growing up, how he got to Kentucky, his time at Kentucky, even time after Kentucky. And it was great doing the interviews. I loved it because it gave me an opportunity to meet a lot of the players that I maybe had heard a lot about, but never really met, but also too, to ask certain questions about things that I'd heard had happened in the player's career and let them answer those questions. So yeah, we're real proud of the book and just want to get it out there in people's hands. So I'm in Bardstown Wednesday, Somerset, Murray on Thursday, Hopkinsville Friday, back here in Lexington on Sunday at the McLeod's Coffee Shop over on Southland Drive, Frankfort then on Tuesday. I think I'm even in Paducah. I missed a day there from Hopkinsville. I go to Paducah on Saturday before I come back here Sunday. So trying to get as much out. I've been to London twice, Corbin once, and Danville as well.
Hey, when you put stuff on Twitter, tag me, and I'll retweet it for you. Happy to do it.
Okay, thanks.
Just
we'll have John do that. I'm not real computer tech. But.
I got you. Matter of fact, are you on Twitter? Because I was looking to promote the show. I use Twitter and Facebook and I couldn't. I finally found your tag, but it wasn't as quick as I thought.
What's my tag at? Kyle Macy 4, maybe?
Yeah, I didn't. I should have. I'm not very smart. I should have realized you would put the 4 in.
I don't post a lot of stuff. I read a lot of stuff, but I don't.
Yeah, no. I saw that you haven't posted.
Yeah.
It's all good. Hey, I'm trying to remember the years, but you watched Mark Pope play and the years that you broadcast on radio on the Kentucky Network and stuff like that. I teased Pope a long time ago. I asked him if he ever wanted to coach. No, I'm never going to coach Cutler. I'm never going to coach. And he's doing a hell of a job now. Did you see that in him when he was playing? Because people change and it's tough to see where your life goes.
Well, you knew he was an intelligent kid and had a love for the game. So it's not too big of a stretch, I don't think, to imagine him becoming the coach that he has. But at the same time, you thought maybe he was smarter than that to get into the coaching world. But no, and you got to give him credit too. He was doing something else and realized that's not what he wanted to be doing, and so took that hard first step and paid the price. Did a lot of intern jobs or whatever, assistant jobs to work his way up to head coach, and it's paid off for him. So yeah, more power to him.
And none of that, but let's amplify what you said. He started as a grunt.
Yeah.
And basically almost, not beg is too strong, but he really, really, really asked Foxy for a job, and he gave him the lowest level job, and he was happy to do it. And then that's when you find out when somebody wants to do it. I mean, you've had guys who played for you when you said, oh, yeah, you better be in the gym at 6 a.m. And then you find out he really was. Oh, okay, you got something there. Or, no, he's only there once a week. And you go, I don't know if the kid's going to make it. If you don't put in extra work, it's tough to make it with all the competition.
Yeah, you have to have that tunnel vision and really have a goal in mind and work towards every day. And the other thing, too, as a player, like I said, I was doing the radio, so I got to see him a lot. He was a great teammate, and I think that's real important on championship teams to have guys that are willing to sacrifice their own skills, maybe, or certain things for the good of the team. And sometimes that gets kind of lost, where it's all about me and getting a big contract, making a lot of money in my basketball pro career. So.
Dr. John Wong, who did my book, Cut to the Chase, told me, he said, Cutler, if we get people to read this book, they're really going to enjoy it. So that's a really nice compliment. Without giving the book away, you've got 42 former UK players, coaches, broadcasters, people whose jersey is up in the rafters. Is there a player or two, without giving it away, that you can say, wow, I had this perception, because that's just part of life. But when I met this person and this story was unbelievable, you got one or two you want to share?
I don't know if I can really pick out one. I know when I was going down to Dixon, Kentucky, before Frank Ramsey passed, we were fortunate enough to get to interview him. I'd known Tripp as a graduate assistant student manager the year I sat out. In fact, we were on the scrub team together. And so I knew Tripp, but I didn't really know his dad that well. And obviously famous, six-man NBA logo, the title kind of was created because of him. And so I was a little nervous and intimidated going down there, but I got there and he couldn't have made me feel more welcome. He even started spitting out some of my stats, which I thought was, whoa, this guy's that big in the game, and he knows who I am or some of the things I did at Kentucky. So just kind of helped me relax, and it made for a great interview. Kevin Greavy's a great personality. You learn things as well. Like, for instance, I never knew that Cliff Hagan only played 2.5 years at Kentucky. He didn't come to UK until middle of his sophomore season, and then really didn't start until right before the tournament. So to put up the numbers he did is pretty impressive. And that's the thing, too, trying to compare numbers nowadays with some of the older stuff. But one of the main reasons, too, I put the book together, and I wrote an introduction for each player, kind of my relationship or something similar we had because of the bond you have as a former player, to kind of introduce that player. But, I'm not sure the younger generation really understands how Kentucky basketball got to where it is in Kentucky basketball. And it's really two reasons. One, it's the great players that we have in this book in the past, and the winning tradition that, Coach Rupp started and was carried on. But then also, too, as everybody knows, Kentucky fans are the biggest part of that tradition, their support and loyalty to the team and the way they follow the team. And so when you combine those two, I think that's what you get. But by reading each individual story from each individual player, by the time you finish the book, I feel like you've got a great history lesson of Kentucky basketball. And so I don't want that to get lost, because there's been so many great players and great people in the system that I wanted the younger generation to know about it and carry it on.
Frank Ramsey, a great man. And I was a little nervous the first time I talked to him, because I remember watching him. I'm dating myself, but I watched him on TV. The first great six-man in the history of the NBA, as you said. He also turned down the head coaching job with the Celtics, which I'm sure you know, and that's how Bill Russell became the coach, and he wanted to go home. He wanted to go home to Mattisville. He wanted the farm and the banking, which was a lot more lucrative, but that wasn't the main part of it. He told me, because I'm a Kentucky boy, and I wanted to go home. And a lot of people today might not see that, but I always had a tremendous respect for his roots and where he came from, and how much, as a Kentucky boy, how much it meant to him. I also understand he sure quietly helped out a whole lot of people.
Yeah. He did. And even when he retired, he still would go to the gym. He told me and played pickup games. In fact, somebody saw him play and they talked him into, I think he was player coach for the Colonels for a little bit before he realized that, like I said, he wanted to be back in Madisonville or Dixon and farming and doing those things. So
farming and king of the bank. Any other story you want to share? And then I'll ask you a couple more Kentucky things, and let's give another plug for you. And as they say in France, it'll be a beautiful thing.
No, talking about the Kentucky fan base, I know Rick Roby had an instance when we used to play Notre Dame on New Year's Eve. Coach Hall would always open up the Freedom Hall practice in the morning. We get about 10,000 fans just come to watch a shoot around, which is crazy. But afterwards, they'd set up tables and you could sign autographs, get an autograph, go to that table of that player and sign it. And Rick obviously was very popular his senior year, his whole career, but especially his senior year. And the fans kind of crowded around that table. And one of the fans, I'm not sure, but they snuck up behind him and tried to get a lock of his hair. So it just kind of, he was kind of startled by that, stood up, and I think he was done after that.
I'll bet. Yeah, that would startle you.
Yeah, as I say when I talk to people, though, knowing Rick, if they'd have just asked, he probably would have cut one for and given it to him. So
absolutely. Rick was, in my dealings, was always very loose and relaxed and whatever. And he told me he signed autographs on body parts and stuff like that. If somebody would ask, he was like, yeah, if they want it, I'll sign your back or whatever, that kind of thing. Rick was, I remember when I got here, and I did not know about the 10,000 people that would show up. And I hadn't been in the TV station very long. Somebody told me that. You can laugh at me. I thought it was like phony AI. What? A shoot around? 10,000 people? That would never happen in New York. That would never happen in Chicago. And they said, you have a lot to learn about Kentucky. And then I quickly found out it was true. And you know what I said to myself? I have a lot to learn about Kentucky.
Well, at that time, a lot of people couldn't get tickets to see the team live, and that was their only chance. So they'd come out for a practice. So it was great.
Do you have as much joy watching them today as you did 10, 15, 20 years ago, or is it even greater as you get older?
Do I have as much what?
Joy watching them play today as you did 20 years ago, or is it even greater? I'm just curious where your head's at as a guy who bled for the program, sweated for the program, and won for the program.
It's a different game. I kind of laugh and I tell the story once in a while to friends that, the locations where Steph Curry is shooting the basketball. I know in my pro career, if I'd have taken a shot from out that far, make or miss it, just taking a shot that far, because the issue was to go inside every time down the floor. If you had a big man, you had an advantage on every team. So you tried to pound the ball down to the low post. Had I taken a shot that far out in the court, Maurice Lucas or somebody would have come out and said, take another one of those and I'm going to break your arm. So, I mean, it's different because now you're spacing out the floor, shooting long range jump shots. The analytics have come into play where, the percentages and those type of things. So it's just a different game. But if it's played well, I like to watch it. If it's not, where it's just up and down and not really structured or whatever, I'll turn it off for a while and turn it back on. UK, obviously, if I'm in town, I try to go or watch, but so it's different.
By the way,
I will say this though, even though it's different, would I have loved to play it in today's game? Yes, very much so. To get a high kick every time down the floor and come off that and read the defense and pull up for a three, sure, I'll play.
You obviously beat the next question I was going to ask you. I need to share this for anybody. There'll be folks who don't know the late, great Maurice Lucas was. I don't know who was the most intimidating person in the history of the NBA. Let's put it this way. If you pick 25 guys, he's in everybody's list. Yeah. 6'8".
He had the reputation as an enforcer. I remember when Dominic Wilkins came into the league and came to Phoenix for the first time, and Maurice had just joined us that year. And Dominic came across the lane with his hands open to catch the ball, and Maurice just kind of threw
Mace just froze on us. I have a feeling his neighbors
they may have got the internet again.
And he was just at the crescendo of his story. Is he gone?
Yeah, it's still frozen.
Okay, it's all good. Maurice Lucas, I could finish the story without knowing it. Dominic Wilkins, one of the highlight reels in the history of the NBA, one of the great leapers, great player at Georgia, one of the great dunkers of all time. I'm sure he was going to say that Lucas just basically banged the crap out of him, which is what happened then. And you can't do that now. You can't do that now. And back then, the NBA kind of policed itself. It just kind of policed itself. Well, Mace, check his book out. Mace, if you'll send me information or have Doc retweeted, I'm happy to push out where you're doing your signings for the Rafters at Rupp. I've heard wonderful things about it from my partner, Dr. John Wong, so that is a beautiful thing. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914, 859-533-0914. Acupuncture, now also providing a licensed massage therapist. I will see Ramon today. Ramon Carriega, dear friend, helped tremendously. I don't understand acupuncture. I've said it forever. It's been explained to me. It's way above my comprehension, but all the things it can potentially help you with, it's worth its weight in gold if you get someone who's good at it, and Ramon has helped me. You know, for example, when I had my eye problem, because how I couldn't sleep, I had all kinds of neck issues, and he saved me. He saved me. Terry saved me too, Terry Page. He saved me a lot. There were times I'd walk in, I could barely turn my head to the right. When I left, I could turn it both ways. Really, those needles you put in your neck, it's a beautiful thing. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914, 859-533-0914. JT Riddle coming up next. I love it when they're working on people's internets. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM. Thank you for your patience, everybody. 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quantrell family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
I'm Kathy Binkaman. Over the holiday, there was an attempted fraud attack. My personal banker, Mary Rose, and I networked together, and the first thing that I thought of was I have to text her. And it was just within the next few minutes, there was an entire team that came together collectively. And that's just not the type of service that you typically get from your bank.
That's Kathy's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties.
Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Down, set, hack. Corn dogs coming in for the blitz.
Rick, what are you doing?
Brent, I'm practicing my snack plays for the next football game.
Well, in that case, Uncle Rick, stop by any Clutch Stop and Shop and pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Uncle Ray's potato chips, 8-ounce bags, 2 for $6.
Don't get sidelined without your supplies this football season. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. I want to thank Kyle Macy. Appreciate him. You know, I was kind of chuckling because, Jimmy, I don't know if it ever happened to you, but there was a time period we were sharing as well, internet with a couple people, and when somebody else got bounced off, we got bounced off too. Technology, it's a beautiful thing. We went such a long time without anything happening, and hopefully it goes in threes and we're done, Jimmy. We're done with these issues, yes?
Let's hope. All we can do is hope.
That's okay. I appreciate Kyle, and when he has more book signings, they'll tag me on it. Got to share this before we go to JT. Macy just sent me a text. Wouldn't you know it? Jimmy, you ready for this? The truck just pulled out.
Oh, nice. Perfect timing. It's like they were listening.
Isn't that how life goes? So we go from Kyle Macy, who was wonderful, And we handled the technical stuff, I think, about as good as you can. And Rick Henry, many, many times sportscaster of the year, just talking the SEC in South Carolina, Kentucky, going to a really good dude who I thought it was really cool what he did to play his last game, even though he spent a lot of times in the major leagues because he's a Central Kentucky boy. He played his last game for the Legends on Thursday, which is a wonderful way to go out because you can do it in front of your family and friends and all that kind of stuff. That had to be a wonderful moment. And I just asked JT Riddle if he'd be kind enough to join us for a couple minutes. JT, how are you? Mazel tov and congratulations. Dude, you had a hell of a career.
I'm good. Man, what a career it was. It was awesome.
Okay, so if I'm not that smart, JT, so let's start this out. I have a big ego, but I'm not that smart. If I would have told you when you're 8 years old, you're going to spend that much time in the major leagues and hit that many home runs, and I hope you saved all your jerseys because you'd have a really nice collection of all the places you've been, which is a beautiful thing, that you would play that many games in the major leagues when you were playing Little League ball. Would you have laughed at me?
I would have. I always had the dream of playing in the major leagues, but, just to look at percentages, you see percentages and you're like, what's the odds of that? The odds of making it to the big leagues are about as lucky as, hitting the Powerball almost sometimes. And it's like, to actually do it and live it, do it for parts of 6 years at the highest level possible. It was a great achievement of my own to get that far. But I look back on the memories and man, what a career it was, to be up there and be at that level and compete against some of these guys.
And I'm assuming lifelong friends from your time in the big leagues.
Yes. The baseball community is it's a big community, but it's also a small community. You get in touch with so many people year to year, up and down levels from team to team, and to do it for, I guess, my 13 seasons of professional baseball, I've met so many guys from all over the world that I stay in touch with and, have become a part of.
Kentucky boy who was Mr. Baseball in 2010. I knew you were, but I had to look up the year, JT. Sorry. My memory's not that good, but I did remember you were Mr. Baseball. You're a Kentucky boy through and through, born in Frankfurt, that kind of thing. You going to stay in the game or are you going to chill for a while or do you have any plans or that kind of thing?
Yeah. So the goal right now is to stay in the game. I took a head baseball coaching job at Franklin County High School last year. So I'm going into year 2 of that. I know with the Legends, we'll see what comes about. I know Skip there, Paul Fletcher, wants me back next year to kind of be in that same hitting coach role and helping out with that, possibly another role. We'll see what happens. But I would love to stay in the game. It's all I know. I feel like I can give back to the youth and to the kids that play this game and help them achieve their goal by staying in and coaching. And who knows, maybe I'll get to the big leagues one day as a coach.
I have to interrupt for a second and you'll understand. This is breaking news. Jeff Borzillo, who's a very good reporter, says Bruce Pearl is expected to retire as head coach at Auburn. His son Steven is expected to be head coach for the upcoming season. There have been all kinds of rumors about him going into politics. And I suspected that he would do it, never talked about it, but it was pretty obvious he would do it when it'd be difficult to hire a coach so his son could get the job. His son is very respected. His son has been a defensive coordinator. His son's a really good guy. And I always thought, I was told there was a wink deal that he would become the head coach. And I bet he'd be a really good head coach. And I will see if Bruce Pearl ends up going into politics. And he did a hell of a job at Auburn. He just did a hell of a job. Sorry, JT, that's breaking news. And it's big. And I like Bruce Pearl personally. Did 2 SEC coaches? I think it was 2. I did 1,000 live shots at Rupp Arena, JT, and I think there was 2, maybe 3 head coaches in all those years, opposing coaches that would do a live shot with me before the game. And his thing was, yeah, I'll do it. What else am I doing? You think I'm going to give this words of wisdom to my team an hour before the game? If they're not ready, then I'm a lousy coach. And he came on, did the interview, and he's always a good talker. So I never forgot that because most sports information director would go, you crazy? You want to do a live interview with the coach that's playing Kentucky before the game? Well, got to ask. It's okay. Anyway, I wish him the best. Sorry, JT, but that's kind of, I break in for breaking news, that kind of stuff. I could see you being really good helping young people out because, you had to work hard and work over hard. Here you were a big star And then you had to grind and grind and grind. So when you're talking to a young person about grinding, you lived it. If you weren't a grinder, even with all your talent, you wouldn't have made it. So you can understand the ups and downs that any kid is going through is where I'm coming from.
Definitely. I wasn't a first round pick. I never had a lot of, don't get me wrong. I was a good player in Kentucky. I won the highest accolade that year, but I had to work. I had to go to UK and I had to work. I got drafted, like I said, 13th round, stuck me at third base in Batavia, New York, in front of nobody, learning how to play third base.
I'm not laughing at you. I promise. It's just the way you said in front of nobody. I just found humorous. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry, JT Riddle.
Yeah,
please continue.
It's the grind. And I speak to my kids at the high school all the time about, the grind and what it takes. And it's not all glamour and everything until you actually get there. It's a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of sacrifices that go into it. So to be able to turn around and give that back to my kids and the kids I teach and give lessons to, and hopefully even the more kids I coach throughout my lifetime and my career, it's an honor, like I said, to give back to those kids and give them what I experienced and what I've learned from my coaches.
I'm going to guess you were in some places like Batavia that there wasn't much to do when you weren't playing baseball. Besides, it's not like you had more than $5 in your pocket if you were lucky.
Yeah, it was tough. You didn't have much to do. I had a host family. There was 4 of us in a basement sleeping on twin beds, making hardly any money, and we're paying our host mom, rent. And it's like, I'm giving you half of my paycheck just to sleep on a twin mattress in your basement. It's a crazy lifestyle. It's gotten a little better now from what I've heard from talking to some of the young guys. It's not what it used to be. I think they take care of the guys a little bit more. The MLB teams are putting some more money back into their minor league systems and things like that, getting them fed better. But it was definitely, midnight gas station stops on the way to the next city, eating, hot dogs and a bag of potato chips, trying to stay healthy and compete at the high level that I was at. It was definitely a grind.
My favorite Tony Perez story, which I'm sure you can relate to, and he said there were a lot of guys from his neck of the world who were good enough to play, but they were so homesick and so poor they just couldn't do it. It took them a while to learn English, and that's not negative, because if you stick me in South America right now and there's 2 guys that speak English and I have to try to survive, whether I was 72 or 16, it'd be difficult if nobody else speaks English. And he'd go to a diner and he ordered the same thing for months and months and months until another teammate helped. You know what he ordered? Pie, because that was the only English word he knew. And, wow. And I remember when I saw him talk about it, I got really sad. And that the major leagues, they're forced to help out these minor leaguers more. It's not because they wanted to. And I always thought, it's survival of the fittest. Let's see if you can survive. Well, but how about all the guys that had the talent to do it? Would have been good to just treat them decently. You guys weren't even making minimum wage.
We weren't even close to minimum wage. You couldn't. You really couldn't live. I was coming back home and. I'm living with my parents at, age 24, 25, trying to, live this dream of making it to the big leagues when, out of 50, there was 40, let's just say 40 rounds at the time in the draft, there might be 2 guys that even make it, out of that draft class. So then you're trying to be those 2 guys, or, you're trying to get your name in this organization where they're paying 10 other guys a lot more money than they do you, based on signing bonus. Those guys are going to get the opportunities. That's just how it works. So to have to fight and compete and live that lifestyle, people definitely have the talent and they don't get past high A ball because of things like that. Just not being able to do it, homesick, just it takes a toll on you. That's for sure.
Now let's go to the positive. JT Riddle, kind enough to join us for another couple of minutes, who play for the Marlins, the Pirates, the Twins, the Reds, and the Mets. And the Mets, 6 seasons in the Big Show. What's your number one memory when you're sitting down in your rocking chair and you got a big old soft drink and you got your grandson on your lap, and he says, Grandpa, did you really play in the big leagues? And what was the best thing that happened to you? What would you tell your grandson one of these days?
I would talk about the moment I hit a walk-off home run against the Mets in Marlins Park as I guess that was technically my second career hit.
Wow.
A walk-off homer.
Wow.
That's probably the moment I go back to. I mean, the call-up was great, everything, but that's the moment, hitting a walk-off home run in the big leagues.
Oh, to mere mortals like myself, can you possibly describe that feeling?
Oh, man, it was great. Like, in the moment, I think back to that. Heck, that was, 2017. So, heck, we're going on 8 years now, I guess. And in that moment, the ball comes off the bat. I knew it was a walk-off hit, but you see it go over the fence and you got, your teammates out there chasing. You got D. Gordon chasing you. You look up when you're rounding third and you're heading to the plate to get just water dumped on you and all the guys around you. And you got Ichiro, Stanton, Yelich, Ozuna, Romuto, Martin Prado. You got all these guys that I grew up watching, or these young guys that I knew who they were, and now they're big names. And you're just running into that huddle, and everybody's on your back, because you just hit a walk-off homer in the big leagues. It was a special moment. And like I said, I can't even relate to the feeling that I had, that day.
By the way, anybody watching on YouTube, we don't push YouTube much, but if you're watching, all of a sudden, as JT Riddle is describing that moment, a smile just started exploding on your face very naturally as you're going. Your smile was as good as your words, by the way. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Are kids today that you're coaching in high school the same, or are they different from when you played, or would they be the same if there weren't that many distractions? Or might you say, if you had the distractions that they have now, it'd be tougher to make it? I mean, how do you look at it?
Yes, there's so many more distractions now than there was then, because there's a lot out there. So I come in as a coach, and I was taught this is the way I'm going to this is how I'm going to play. This is how I'm going to do certain things. And, there's so much out there where these kids can just get on their phone and have access to so many different things. They get, occupied in something else. So they're not even as focused as what they should be. Or, you got 18 different coaches that they're trying to listen to on YouTube, and they're over here doing all kinds of crazy stuff. They're trying to hit like Aaron Judge, and they don't realize that Aaron Judge is 6'9", and, his bat comes through the zone at a different angle than maybe this kid that's, 5'8", about 140 pounds. It's like, you can't really do that. So it's, I use the word coachable a lot to my kids. I always tell them, I said, you got to be coachable. If you're not coachable, you'll never have success at this game or in life. And I use that word, and I think that's a big word in today's age of kids, that they think they know everything sometimes. And I think it's because they got it right in front of them on their phone. And so they think they know, but then realization, it comes to them a little bit sometimes, and it doesn't always work out just because the phone said so.
Yeah, maybe Aaron Judge's bat speed might be a little quicker than somebody 5'8", 45.
I'd say it's a little bit quicker.
Just a little bit.
His pop-ups are homers sometimes.
Isn't it amazing? Or how about this? And how many times have you seen him hit a home run where he missed it?
Oh, 100%. Yankee Stadium, the ball travels a little bit there. So, there's balls where I'm sure they didn't leave the bat at the right angle, but they still got over the wall.
Do you have instant credibility because you played in the big leagues for so many years, or kids are kids? They're going, I see it on the phone. I'm smarter than you, JT.
You'd be surprised. There's some kids out there that think they know it all. Some of these 22, 23-year-olds think they know just as much as, 8 and 10-year vets that have played the game for a long time, that have been coached from a lot of credible sources, the best of the best. I live and by Perry Hill's 6 F's of fielding, and I teach it to every infielder I have. And there's some people that are a little hard headed, and they think their way is going to work. And I like I said, I try to lead them in the right direction. Some of these kids are hard headed because they think they know it all.
Well, sounds like a hard-headed former TV sportscaster. I don't know what you mean. Hey, look, I wish you the best of luck. I'm proud of you because we don't know each other really well personally, but I know some people that know you who have always told me, just in a couple conversations with you, that you always try to do everything the right way and you hit your nose to the grindstone. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been as successful. And I hope you feel great about what you accomplished. I'm serious, dude. Anybody who spends one day in the big leagues, you 6 years, okay, a 13th round draft choices. I don't know what the hell the odds are, but I bet there aren't a lot of 13 rounders that end up playing in the big show for a game, no less, for 6 years and that kind of thing. So wish you the best. I'd like to know what you do next. And baseball comes around again. Like to have you on, and maybe when World Series happens, just like to have your analysis just some baseball talk, if that's cool with you.
For sure. Stay in touch. I'm around the area. I live in Nicholasville. Like I said, coach the high school team at Franklin County going into year 2. So I'm around, always open to chat baseball anytime.
We'll do it then. Hey, congratulations. I hope you feel as good about yourself as I feel about you, what you've done, because it ain't easy. And anybody who doesn't respect 13th rounder, he played that many years in the show, but I hope you have all your jerseys.
I do. I got each one from each part of each season that I was up in each team.
Good for you. Good for you.
I got the memories on the wall in the basement.
Oh, you can look at the jersey and a story will just rekindle about something you did or a teammate did or some goofy thing or some wonderful thing, right?
100%.
Gotcha. Hey, Jay, thank you so much, dude. Congratulations. Where I come from, it's called Mazel Tov. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. JT Riddle. Jimmy, I'm telling you, he had a hell of a career. Seriously. I mean, come on. 13th round draft choice, played all those years. Really, really terrific. Absolutely terrific. And really good. And he was really cool with the fact that doing the breaking news with the Bruce Pearl thing. And by the way, I didn't predict it was going to happen. I'm not surprised, though. Not surprised.
Now, I wonder, will Bruce Pearl get maybe not the Derek Jeter retirement tour or the Kobe retirement tour, but every place he goes, wondering what kind of reception he'll get.
I'm pausing. I thought he's done now, and Steven's taking over.
So it is now.
Wait a second. Hang on. I read the tweet. Excuse me. I read it fast that he's retiring. His son will take over. Interesting.
Okay, yeah, it is this upcoming season. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I.
Okay.
I did it fast, but I'm pretty sure about that, and it's the smart way to do it. In the middle of summertime, do I think this is an accident? No. If he swears that he planned it this way, that this was spur of the moment, I'm not going to call anybody a liar. But I mean, my understanding, Steven has turned down jobs to stay with his dad, and Auburn knows it. And he's really respected and a really good young man. And somebody say, well, you only got there because your daddy. Well, okay. Guess what? Think about it. He was never a great player, but what was he? He was someone who made the best of his ability and became a hell of a defensive coordinator and apparently really good with players and had a big role in recruiting the players. So I wish him the best. Wish Bruce Pearl the best.
I think that's usually the mark of someone who's going to be a good coach. How many great coaches do you look back and they were incredible players? I feel like a lot of the coaches are ones who are just heady. They know the game. They're smart about the game, but the athleticism they had didn't allow them to be that elite player, but they had the brain.
Right. And, Steven couldn't play offense, but he was on the court. I don't think so much because of his dad, although some people said daddy's boy, and that kind of stuff. Really smart, really tough. Hell of a defensive player. Now, if they needed him to score 20 points a game, would he have been on the court? No, but he had every intangible. And you know what you could tell when you watch Steven play? His teammates liked him. You could tell the relationship they had with his teammates, and that's not easy when your dad's the coach. It's not. Terry Page, Terry Page, a great licensed massage therapist. Check her out, 859-373-0578. 859-373-0578. She's been great for me. First 2 days of the week in Butler, Kentucky. Then she's in Lexington the rest of the week. Text her, naturalhealingandpainrelief.com if you want to set up a free phone call to say, hey, this is what I have. Can you help me out? She's been spectacular for me. 859-373-0578. Want to thank Rick Henry. Always a lovely conversation. You know, for those who don't know Rick, and you don't really know Rick outside, a couple times been on the show, but Jimmy doesn't come across as a really good guy. And
he really does.
And the stories you can tell off the air that he can't tell on the air. I mean, Sportscaster of the Year forever in South Carolina. I always look forward to Kentucky playing South Carolina more so. I get to talk to Rick. And I think it's a two-way street. Kyle Macy, thank you, dude. Appreciate you. And also JT Riddle. I'm serious as a heart attack. That's a hell of a career. It really is. Matthew and Jimmy at 10 tomorrow. I'll be back at noon. And Brad Taylor coming up next. And by the way, we have no show on Thursday. Is that right? Is that the last time this year? No show on Thursday. Yep. The Reds bounce me off. Van Hiles will join us later in the week. Brandon Ramsey later this week. Maurice Douglas, who's a studly DB for Kentucky back in the day. He will join us. Sean Woods will join us. Corey Price, who just wrote an article, will join us. Derek Abney will join us. I'm working on one or two more. So we've got a heck of a week lined up. Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate you tremendously. The show will be up in a couple minutes. Macy had some good stories, and I've already asked Macy to come back next month, and I think it will happen. Macy's terrific. He's got a lot of really good stories. And from the rafters at Rupp, check his book out, written with my dear friend, my co-author as well, Dr. John Wong, and they're doing a book tour, and we'll help him out with that.